Morning viewers and a happy festive season to y'all. Here we have on the bench today an engine you've seen before running but not, I think, on the bench. It is a Taifun Hurrikan, not a Lamborghini Hurrikan, a Taifun, famous German make. I think this one made in the 50s, designed by Hans Holin. Sorry if the pronunciation is wrong. A very good German engine designer. This is something of a classic engine, actually. It's 1.5cc, traditionally ported twin ball bearings and a rear valve, a reed valve, a double reed valve, in fact. Or as the Germans call it, a Taifun Hurrikan. It's an interesting design, which I think they say was copied from the Cox series of reed valves that were on nearly all of their engines, famously the B and the TD and the Pee-wee. This engine, if you look at the reviews, was raved about at the time because it would rev at over 20,000 revs, something quite unknown for a diesel, and behave impeccably at that speed. It is finely made, and I will show you the bits because they are quite interesting. Here we have a rear needle valve supplying the sorry, I'm using one hand to film and one hand to fiddle. Here we have a rather nice gauze filter, which again is, I think, a Cox thing. The needle valve itself pulls off this central spigot, and in there you may see the opening for the fuel, which then is fed into a radial porting arrangement. So it's a true peripheral, I think that's the word for it, a peripheral carb, and it works quite well. It's one of these odd engines, you've got to open it 5 turns to get it going, and then when it's going, you turn it back to about 1.5. But once you've got the hang of that, you're fine. Ooh. You're away. There's the Klacken Valven Puffen reed, and I think there's one on the other side of that plate. You can't see it. I have to take my word for it. Nice close-up of the peripherally drilled Venturi, I suppose that is. This is serial number 6586. I think a series 1, because the series 2 had the back here was, what's the word, bulb shaped cone. It wasn't flat like that. The internals are fairly traditional, which again, if I had some dexterity left in these paws, I will show you. Still in the head. Oh, where's it gone? Sorry guys. Piston liner, nice fit, great compression. Solid plain conrod. Not drilled for lubrication, but it seems to work quite well. Traditional crank web and crank pin, really nicely freely running. If I had 2 hands, I would spin it better. So, the Taifun Hurrikan, much lauded and praised by Messrs. Chin when wearing in the 50s or 60s even. Hans Herlein went on with Grabner after Taifun, another famous make, and then eventually set up his own firm called Profi, which made some really super glow engines, and I showed you one on this channel. They were like a huge Cox Bay B from, I don't know, 4 cc's up to 7 or 8. I had one of the big ones. It was incredibly well made. Anyway, that's the Taifun Hurrikan on the bench. There's a video, short one somewhere of it running. I might do another one to show it its stuff revving at 22,000. Okay, bar humbug.